In today's video, I will provide a general overview of Synergy's Content Sentry module. Content Sentry is a data loss prevention solution for OpenText Content Server. It is delivered as a standard Content Server module and is compatible with Content Server 10, 10.5, 16.2, and above. Some of the use cases for Content Sentry include monitoring Content Server for anomalous activity, preventing data breaches to avoid negative impact on the corporate brand, ensuring customer data is securely handled inside your organization. For today's demo, I will focus on the dashboards and the configuration screens to demonstrate how easy and extensible the application is. Let's take a look at the configuration screens to get started. When Content Sentry is installed, the events on the left are pre-created out of the box and will be monitored. These events can be updated or deleted as required depending on the business requirement. For the demo, we'll focus our attention on the download event. The same configuration applies to all other events in the system. Enable monitoring instructs Content Sentry to capture the event data, whereas enable limits allows the user to set daily limits for low, medium, and high thresholds. When these limits are exceeded, Content Sentry will send an email notification or disable the user account as appropriate. Take note of the values here, 10, 15, 20 for low, medium, and high respectively, as when we get to the next part of the demo, the dashboard, you'll see how those are handled by Content Sentry. Content Sentry also supports some more advanced limits and personal daily limits, but we'll talk about that in a future video. The next question is, what constitutes a download event? In this case, we have a couple of request handlers, lldownload, docfetch, and docview. There's one more, doc.viewDoc. So when any of these request handlers are executed, it's captured as a download event. These event source types can be added or updated as required. You can add new ones or you can remove ones. For example, if you don't want doc.view considered a download, you can just remove this and then the download will not capture that event. The other cool thing about Content Sentry is it's very customizable, as I mentioned. You can add new events to track. For example, if I click on Add Event here, I can go ahead and create a new event and capture data from a request handler from a custom module that you have or a third-party module. So it's very flexible and you can capture pretty much any type of event within Content Sentry or Content Server, sorry. Now we'll focus our attention on the coolest part of the Content Sentry application, the dashboard. So let's go back to the main menu and launch the dashboard. The dashboard contains a lot of useful information for administrators and security officers to gain insight into Content Server usage and possible threats. First thing we'll take a look at is the time selector in the top right. It allows the user to filter the dashboard based on the selection. For example, we can choose a week or a month and a report will generate accordingly. But for the purposes of the demo, we'll focus on today and we'll look at the events that occurred throughout the last 24 hours. At the very top of the report, you'll see the aggregated data. So in this time period, there were 159 events, 3 incidents, 2 unique users, and 11 different event types. The next part of the report shows the incidents or the violations that occurred in this time period. As you can see here, there were 3 different violations that occurred. The chart can kind of detail the violation based on the colors. For example, green is a low, yellow is a medium, and then red would be a high threat. And the details of the threat are displayed in the grid below. So the time that the event occurred, for example, 10:43 a.m., the download event by the admin exceeded the low threshold value. The threshold value was set to 10, and then you loaded 12 documents. And this is the action that Content Sentry took. So in this case, the email sent to the user when the violation occurred. And there were 2 other events, one at 11:08 and another one at 11:19 a.m. And this one was the medium threat level. And the condition was 17 and 15 was the threshold. And an email was sent for this one as well. The next part of the report shows the event summary. The event summary is basically the total number of events that occurred over the time span here. So you can see that the system was very active at 10 a.m. to 12, and then there was not much activity during the afternoon, and there was some more activity a little bit later that evening. This report gives users a lot of insightful information about peak usage times and so on for Content Server. The top events here will display the events that are most active in the system. For example, in my case, it was open, accessing the admin pages, download, create, and zip and download. Those are the most frequently used events that were captured throughout the time period. And again, the top users, I only have 2 users here, admin and Robbie are the top users that was most active in this time period. Again, just like the incident report above, the grid data is available here with a little bit more information, including the objects. If the event has an object that's applicable to it, the object will be displayed, and the function that was used to capture the event. And this is a pageable grid, also downloaded as a CSV to further analyze it as required. The user information is at the very bottom here. So the users, again, there's 2 users, admin and Robbie, and it shows the number of activities that were captured for that specific user. And it does the opposite with the event type. So it shows you all the event types that were captured and the number of occurrences of those event types throughout the time period. And the report is also filterable. So you can choose an event. For example, if I'm interested in what the zip and email activity was for this time period, I can just select zip and download, which is a more active. I can see here there were 8 events that occurred throughout the day. And around 10 o'clock, there were some zip and downloads. And in the chart below, or the grid below, you can see some of the information about the documents that were zipped and downloaded and so on. So you can filter it based on the event that you're interested in. The other way of filtering it is by user. I can select the user here from the grid, or I can go over and I can find the user, or I can just select it. If I did a search for that user, it just shows the most recent users in here. So I can select Robbie, for example. Now the report is filtered based on myself. And you can see here, this is my low violation. And all the information in this chart now, or in this dashboard, is applicable to myself, being Robbie. So hopefully this video provides a high-level overview of the powerful features of Content Century. In future videos, we'll demonstrate how to further customize the application. For example, creating rules and classifications to monitor sensitive folders or specific users more closely. Thank you.